Hello and welcome back. So today I just want to do a short video on humidity control and what we need to do to take care of our instruments. I get a lot of questions asked about how do I take care of my instrument and what's the best way to look after it that way. So I have a few different options as far as humidistats. I always recommend having a humidistat in the room you keep your instrument, um, just to keep an eye on what the humidity is doing. And then I use a different options for dehumidifiers and humidifiers because in my shop here, it's 13 feet by 13 feet. It's not a big space. Um, I have to keep it controlled in here. I keep mine about 42% humidity, so that's what I build my instruments at. So generally, through the summer, I will have to dehumidify, and then when the cold comes in, you crank the heat up. The humidity tends to drop, and that's when you need to start humidifying your space. So when the humidity drops, you need to start humidifying your instrument. So there's a few different options. You can humidify the room that your instrument is in, or you can keep it in a case with a humidifier in the case. You still need to humidify and keep an eye on that because if your room is dry, um, your case will eventually become dry as well. So you still need to humidify your instrument in the case, even though it's still in the case. It can crack and become damaged in the case if you're not humidifying. It becomes too dry for too long of a period. Yes, it happens slower within the case, but it still will become dry in your case. So you really need to keep an eye on that. So I'm just going to show you a few different humidistats, and they're not all created equal. I have about 5 different humidistats here, same brands even, and they will record differently. So I recommend having maybe at least two humidistats in your room so you can kind of get a ballpark. Because if you just go off of one and it's reading really low or really high, you're going to be adjusting your humidity for that when it's not correct. Your room isn't 45%, it's actually like 35%. So that can cause a lot of issues. Um, so yeah, I'll show you a few different options that I have, and then I'll also just kind of give you a quick example of what I'm using to humidify my shop and dehumidify my shop. And then we can kind of go from there. All right. All right, so here what I have here is I guess what 5, 6 of my humidistats I use in my shop and in my house. We'll start off with these two. Um, as you can see, um, they're 2% off, like they're exact same unit. So they're not going to read exactly the same. Always, they're probably built a little differently, but this kind of just shows you that two units can be slightly different. 2% isn't a huge difference. I wouldn't fuss over 2% change. Um, but you get these at the Dollarama, use a dollar store. They're like $4.50 or something like that. And I actually quite like these ones. They're big screen. It's easy to see, and they've been pretty reliable for me. Um, so then the other ones I have are these units. Um, you can kind of see these ones are reading 39%. I buy these at Canadian Tire in Canada here. They're like $10, $15 a piece or something like that. So they're a little more expensive than these big ones. I've been using these for a lot of years as well. They've been fairly reliable, um, and they've kind of read quite decently for what I need them to do. But like I said, always having two of each at least, just to kind of give you a ballpark, just in case one has gone wild, like my next humidistat over here. So yeah, I would recommend something like this. I like digital. You can get analog. Um, I don't know how reliable analog ones are. They look nice and everything, but I always just kind of like the digital ones. Just they're easy to read, and you can kind of just take a quick glance and make sure your humidity is at what it needs to be. So then you have Honeywell. Honeywell is supposed to be a pretty recognizable brand. I don't know if this one's just faulty, but as you can see, it's reading 29%. Uh, it's not 29% in here. And this one's been in my shop for a long time because I just like to use it as a demonstration to clients that come to my shop and when I'm talking to them about humidistats and controlling humidity. And I use this one as a demonstration just because it's so wildly off that I like to just show this one. Um, so yeah, I don't know if there's just something off with this one. But even if it's a fun thing if you go into the store and you go to your humidistats and uh, if they're reading like the analog ones tend to read and you can kind of look at all of them in the row of humidistats and you can kind of see like the differences within each one of them. It's kind of funny to see. Um, but yeah, this one's just out to lunch. It's yeah, no. So then this one here, this is called the temp stick. Um, I bought this one on Amazon with my own money. Um, it was a bit more expensive at the time. It was about 200 Canadian dollars for this unit. It's Bluetooth. It runs on an app. So, which is great. You get your humidity wherever you are in the world. If as long as you have internet access, you can kind of stop in and see what the humidity is in your house. Then you can set alerts. So if it drops too low or goes high, and it'll beep at you and tell you if you have those set. So the app itself. So here's the app. So you can kind of see it gives you last readings and high, low, average. It's reading 43.5. Probably more because yeah, you handle these things and they go a little bit higher too. But with one or two percentage isn't anything big. So it kind of gives you my high was at 43.5 and my low is 40.5 and average is 41.5. So I like it gives you an average of what what your space is doing, and then it gives you bar graphs, which is kind of neat because you can kind of see what it's doing throughout the day. So you can kind of see here, it gives you the time of day. It jogs, and it's probably just my dehumidifier coming on and off, as you can see. And then I probably had to empty my dehumidifier there. And then I think this spike here is just from me handling it, just the moisture from my hand. Um, but it's nice. It gives you your graph throughout the day, and same for your temperatures as well, and kind of gives a lot of information. Then your battery, your your status temp and online, and next recording is 22 minutes. So I think I have every 30 minutes set. You can set it for a bunch of different durations. So yeah, I would highly recommend something like this if you really want to kind of keep an eye on the humidity and you like the tech of apps and being able to use it wherever you are and just being able to drop into your space and say, okay, my humidity is 43.5. It's good. Um, it's nice if you're on holidays and it's like your humidity is dropping and you need someone to go to your house and fire up a humidifier. This will kind of warn you and let you know, which is great. Yeah, so these are the options I use. Um, I would highly recommend at least just having two digital humidistats in your space, just for insurance and kind of gives you a ballpark average, whether it's just something like this from the Dollarama or smaller ones that you can get from your local hardware store. Um, like I mentioned, this single one here, it's out to lunch. I would not want this in my house and controlling my humidity from that. But I'll give you a quick look at what I'm using to dehumidify and humidify my shop. All right, so these are the two units I have. This is my humidifier. It's just your household humidifier. Um, it's a Frigidaire. It takes a beating because it lives in a super dusty shop, so it's sucked in a lot of dirt. This one's actually, knock on wood, it's been pretty good. It's lasted me a few years. They generally only last a year or so before they call it quits. But this one here is just a Frigidaire. I put it like a fine filter on the back of it just so it's not completely sucking in all the dust. But yeah, so this is what I use. So my shop, 13 by 13, is roughly, I don't know, about 170 square feet or something like that in my like kind of building area. Maybe I'll do a video later down the line of a shop tour, which will be kind of funny because it's pretty small. So yeah, this controls the humidity, taking it out. And this one is just as a bucket. When it's wetter out, I generally have to empty the bucket once a day. So it requires a little bit of maintenance that way, but it works well. I can get the humidity down, which is great. So this other unit here, this is my humidifier. So you can kind of see the size difference. It's a big unit. It's a wicking filter, so you had to buy filters for it. Um, the filters are, about $40 for two of them, so $20 a piece. The filters for me in my dusty shop, they last a full season, which is fine. So I'm using one filter a season. So again, this is Air Care. I think I bought this one from Canadian Tire here a lot of years ago. It was on clearance or whatever. But it's a big unit and it humidifies my shop quite decently when it gets really cold and I need to actually pump humidity into my shop. This unit does it. Um, so that's an option if you want to humidify your large space. I know some people try to use those small little units that are meant for your bedside to humidify your room, but I don't know how well those work. Seeing as I'm using this unit, when it's dry out, it's dropping down to like 35%, and I need to get it back up to 45. And this thing is just on full blast to get it back up to that 40, 45, 42%. So this this unit here has been a workhorse for me, and I've used it for a lot of years. It's worked out quite well. So you have a different options to set the fan speed and the humidity, so you can set the humidity what you want it, so it'll come on and off as it reaches that humidity. And it's the same with the dehumidifier. You can set your fan speeds and humidity so it comes on and off. Um, so you can kind of just set it and forget it that way for these two units. So yeah, that's what I have for the for my humidifying and dehumidifying. I would definitely highly recommend something like this just to keep your instruments safe and for your health too. It's living in really cold, dry environments. You probably want to add some humidity to your household just for comfort. Well, there you have it. I hope this was educational for you. Hope it wasn't too long of a drawn out video, but I just can't stress enough how important it is to humidify your instrument. It can cause a lot of irreversible damage, cracking your soundboard, loose braces, your fret ends of your on your neck will become sharp and sticking out because your neck is shrinking. So you'll need some pretty extensive fret work there too. And a lot of these things, like cracks, if you crack your top, it's going to be there for the rest of the guitar's life. You're probably going to see it. So it's just easy enough to get, one of these units if you want to humidify your room. You're going to buy it to meet the size of your room. Or if you're humidifying your guitar, in this case, like I have a few different options here that I use. So this is a sound hole humidifier. So there's a sponge in there that you'll wet and you'll just wring out the excess, and this will kind of plug the sound hole of your instrument. Well, it'll be guitar really. You can get these in different sizes for different size sound holes. And then the other one is just your sound hole. So these ones have holes in them. There's a sponge inside. So you wet the sponge, you wring out the excess, and then you just put it back in there, and then put that between your strings in your sound hole. And that's a very inexpensive, like these here you can get at your local music store, um, and Amazon or wherever. They're pretty cheap, $10 or so. So that's a couple different options for humidifying your guitar or uke in its case. Be sure you don't humidify your instrument in its case when it's not dry, because you will tarnish your instrument. You will be putting too much humidity into your instrument if it doesn't need it. So that's why having a humidistat to see what your humidity is doing in your room is always a good choice, just so you see where you're at. But yeah, I hope this was educational. I hope you enjoyed it. I probably won't have another one out until 2025. So I have some projects in the works here, and then I'll be starting a couple more commissioned instruments here in January. So I'll be kind of giving you an update on those. And then I also have the Model Q that I will be finishing up here very shortly, and I'll do a quick video on that one too. But I don't think I'm going to get that one out before the new year. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But yeah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and until the next time, thanks for watching.